Lucas, just sign it. The cold voice echoed through the expansive office, striking my eardrums but bringing a strange, otherworldly warmth. I looked up at the woman sitting behind the desk in a pristine white suit. Claire Sterling, my wife. She was as icy as ever, her hair pulled back into a severe bun, exposing the pale curve of her neck. Her eyes were calm, like a bottomless lake without a single ripple. She slid a document toward me. Divorce settlement agreement. Gavin is coming back, she added, as if offering an explanation, or perhaps a final ultimatum. The asset division is very favorable to you. The mansion on the Upper East Side, 3 cars, and $1 billion in cash. Enough for you to live comfortably for the rest of your life. $1 billion. In my past life, I was blinded by that money. I thought it was her final act of pity. I thought the worthless trophy husband who married into her empire, could finally take this windfall and roll out of her world with some dignity, making way for her and her one who got away. I signed it then, fleeing the city like a beaten dog. I spent that billion living a life of drunken stupor, yet every day I obsessively checked for news of her. I watched her and Gavin York appear together, watched the media praise them as a match made in heaven, while my heart felt like it was being carved out. It wasn't until a year later that the news of her death in a plane crash shattered me. Immediately after, news broke of Gavin marrying her best friend, Bella White, in a lavish ceremony. Only then did I realize it was all a trap, a decade-long con targeted at the Sterling family. After attending her desolate funeral, I got blindly drunk and drove my car off a bridge into the East River. As the freezing water enveloped me, I was filled with regret. If I hadn't left, if I had seen through that adulterous pair sooner, would my Claire still be alive? I never expected God to actually give me a second chance. I had been reborn. I was back at the very moment she handed me the divorce papers. Back to the turning point that decided all our fates. What? Is it not enough? Claire frowned slightly, seeing me hesitate. A hint of impatience finally cracked her beautiful eyes. Lucas, don't make me look down on you. I smiled. I met her gaze without dodging, without the inferiority and cowardice of my past life. I simply, calmly, pushed the agreement back toward her. I'm not divorcing, I said. My voice wasn't loud, but it resonated clearly in the office. Claire's fingers tightened around her fountain pen, her knuckles turning white. She looked up, and for the first time, a crack appeared in her usually composed demeanor. She probably never imagined that I, the man who had always obeyed her every word, the man who was cowardly to the bone, would refuse. Lucas Vance, what do you mean? Exactly what I said. I stood up, walked around to her side, and placed my hands on the expensive mahogany desk, leaning down to look at her. I said, I am not signing this divorce. We were close enough that I could smell the cool, woody fragrance she wore. In your eyes, I'm just a loser who would do anything for money, right? I asked, enunciating every word as I watched her pupils tremble. She moved her lips but didn't speak, though her eyes said everything. I straightened up, adjusting my collar. But starting today, I'm not. Ms. Sterling, your husband will no longer be the doormat everyone pushes around. With that, I turned and walked away without a shred of hesitation. Behind me, I heard the crisp sound of the fountain pen dropping onto the desk. I knew my first move had already disturbed the calm waters of her heart. As soon as I walked out of Claire's office, I nearly collided with someone. Oh my, Lucas, you're done talking with Claire? It was Bella White, Claire's best friend. She was wearing a pink dress, a sweet, harmless smile plastered on her face, but her eyes flickered with a hidden urgency and schadenfreude. In my past life, I was fooled by this facade. I always thought she genuinely cared for Claire. I even toasted her and Gavin at their wedding, wishing them a lifetime of happiness. Thinking back now, it was pathetic. Yeah, we're done, I replied indifferently. So, how did it go? She leaned in, lowering her voice, pretending to be concerned. Claire is tough on the outside, but soft on the inside. She surely gave you a huge settlement, right? You really shouldn't be polite with her. Looking at her face, which practically screamed, "Tell me you're leaving," I suddenly found it amusing. Settlement. I raised an eyebrow. What settlement? Why would I need a settlement? Bella's smile froze on her face. Huh? No. Didn't you guys? Didn't we what? I interrupted, looking at her with feigned confusion. My wife and I have a great relationship. Why would we be discussing a settlement? Bella's expression instantly became a masterpiece, as if she had swallowed a fly. You didn't agree. Her voice pitched up, then she quickly realized her loss of composure and covered her mouth, whispering, Lucas, are you crazy? Gavin is back. Do you really want to be stuck between them and humiliate yourself? Stuck between whom? I asked slowly. Who was Gavin? Never heard of him. You. Bella stomped her foot in anger, but couldn't make a scene, left to fume in frustration. I didn't bother acting with her anymore and walked straight to the elevator. By the way, I turned back just as the elevator doors were closing, giving her a meaningful smile. Ms. White, in the future, don't call me Lucas. Call me Mr. Sterling's husband, or better yet, Mr. Vance. The doors slid shut, cutting off the view of Bella's twisted face. I knew she was undoubtedly rushing to report this to Gavin. Good. Let them panic. The game had only just begun. I returned to my and Claire's home, the mansion in the Upper East Side worth a fortune. It was less a home and more a gilded cage. In 3 years of marriage, the number of times Claire came back here could be counted on one hand. Most of the time, I guarded this empty house alone. In my past life, all I felt here was loneliness and inadequacy. But now this was my battlefield. I changed out of my cheap casual clothes and dug out a suit from the back of the closet that I had long forgotten. It was a gift from Claire's grandfather, Arthur Sterling, when we got married. Handmade, incredibly expensive, but I had never worn it. Because of my inferiority complex, I felt I didn't deserve such fine clothes, just as I didn't deserve Claire. I stood before the mirror, put on the suit, and knotted the tie. The man in the mirror stood tall, his features sharp. The aura I had deliberately suppressed for years returned to me with the shift in my mindset. Many people had forgotten that before I became the Sterling family's kept husband, I was the heir to the Vance family. Although the Vance family was nothing compared to a titan like the Sterlings, in our smaller city, we were respectable. It was only later, when the family fell on hard times and my father fell critically ill, that I had to drop out of school and scramble for money. That was when I met Claire, who had come to our small town to clear her head. An accident happened. I saved her. Later, old man Sterling found me and said he could save my father, but the condition was that I marry into the Sterling family. I had no choice. I always thought Claire hated me. She felt I had taken advantage of her vulnerability, binding her life to mine with a debt of gratitude. So for 3 years, I lived cautiously, humble as dust. It wasn't until after she died, when I was organizing her belongings, that I found a locked diary and read the memories she had sealed away. It turned out she had known me long before. In our small town, before I saved her life, she had been cornered by muggers. I was the passerby who chased them off. I hadn't thought much of it at the time, but she remembered. She wrote in her diary, "That boy was like a beam of light breaking into my gray world." So, when her grandfather proposed she marry me, she didn't object. She just didn't know how to face me, nor how to process her lingering teenage admiration for Gavin. Her coldness and distance weren't hatred, but a clumsy form of self-protection. Ironically, we two fools missed out on a lifetime because of it. Looking at myself in the mirror, my eyes grew hot. Claire, in this life, I won't let you be alone again. Those who hurt you, I will make them pay in blood. Just then, my phone rang. A strange number. I answered, and a smooth, slightly arrogant male voice came through. "Is this Lucas?" "It's Gavin York." He finally couldn't sit still. "What's up?" I leaned back on the sofa, my tone flat, betraying no emotion. Gavin on the other end seemed surprised by my reaction and paused. "I just got off the plane. I heard from Bella that there seems to be a little misunderstanding between you and Claire." His voice carried a patronizing tone of reassurance. "Lucas, I know you're hurting. How about this? Tonight, I'm hosting a dinner at the Obsidian Club. Let's have a man-to-man talk." The Obsidian Club, the city's most exclusive private members club. In my past life, I received this call too. Back then, filled with jealousy and rage, I charged into the Obsidian like an angry rooster. What I found was Gavin and Claire chatting happily. Gavin had casually told me that he and Claire were childhood sweethearts, that they understood each other best. He said I didn't deserve Claire, and that if I knew what was good for me, I'd bow out. And Claire? She didn't say a word the entire time. Her silence was the final straw that broke me. I caused a huge scene at the Obsidian, completely humiliating myself and severing the last thread of possibility between Claire and me. Thinking back now, it was nothing more than a hung men feast, a trap carefully designed by Gavin. The goal was to provoke me, to make Claire thoroughly disappointed in me. "Sure," I chuckled into the phone. "What time?" Gavin was clearly stunned again, likely not expecting me to agree so readily. 7 o'clock tonight. I'll be there on time." I hung up, the smile on my lips deepening. "Gavin, do you think you're still the hunter controlling the board? You don't realize that from the moment I was reborn, our positions flipped. You're the prey about to walk into a trap." At 6:50 p.m., I arrived punctually at the private suite in the Obsidian Club. Pushing open the door, 3 people were already seated. Claire, Bella, and Gavin. Gavin sat at the head of the table, with Claire beside him. Bella sat on Claire's other side. The three of them looked like a family. I looked like the superfluous outsider. Seeing me enter, Bella immediately put on a look of anticipation, waiting for the drama. Gavin stood up, a warm smile on his face, and proactively extended his hand. "Lucas, we finally meet. I hear Claire mention you often." "Mention me often?" "The number of times she mentions her loser husband?" I sneered internally but kept my face impassive as I shook his hand. "Mr. York, I've heard a lot about you." His hand was warm and dry, but his palm had thin calluses from years of playing the piano. These were the hands that personally pushed Claire into hell. "Don't be so formal. Just call me Gavin." He patted my shoulder affectionately, guiding me to the empty seat next to Claire. "Sit. We were just waiting for you." I sat down, my gaze falling on Claire. She was wearing a black evening dress today, with light makeup. She looked less sharp than she did at the office, softer. She didn't look at me, just stared down at the teacup in front of her, lost in thought. "Lucas, I know you're upset." Gavin poured me a cup of tea himself, his tone sincere. "Claire and I are in the past. Now you're her husband. I came back this time just to see old friends, nothing more." He paused, then shifted the conversation. "However, matters of the heart can't be forced. I know what kind of person Claire is. Once she decides something, no one can change it. If you truly love her, you should respect her choice and set her free." It was a speech delivered with deep emotion, watertight logic. He cleared his own name while slapping the labels of "doesn't understand love" and "clingy desperate man" onto me. Bella nodded repeatedly from the side, chiming in, "Exactly, Lucas. You can't force a melon to be sweet. Dragging this out just makes everyone look bad." Claire remained silent, but her finger unconsciously traced the rim of her teacup. I knew she was wavering. In my past life, this was when I exploded. I flipped the table, pointed at Gavin's nose calling him a hypocrite, and called Claire heartless. But this time I didn't. I picked up the teacup and took a gentle sip. "Mr. York is right." As soon as I spoke, everyone froze, including Claire, who looked up at me in astonishment. I met her gaze and continued. "Matters of the heart indeed cannot be forced." Victory smiles appeared on Gavin and Bella's faces. "So?" Gavin asked impatiently. "So?" I set down the teacup, looked at him, and spoke slowly. "I'm curious. As a past tense ex, in what capacity are you intervening in my marriage?" The smile on Gavin's face solidified. Bella froze too, obviously not expecting me to suddenly counterattack. I'm just caring for her as a friend." Gavin reacted quickly, defending himself. "Friend?" I laughed. "What kind of friend advises someone to get a divorce? What kind of friend eagerly sets up this kind of ambush dinner before the couple has even separated?" My voice wasn't loud, but every word hit Gavin and Bella like a sledgehammer. "Lucas Vance, don't you dare slander him." Bella panicked, standing up to point at me. "Gavin is acting out of kindness." "Kindness?" I leaned back in my chair, looking at her with leisure. "The kindness of advising me to take the money and scram, so he can take my spot." "You." Bella's face turned bright red. "Enough." Claire, who had been silent, finally spoke. Her voice carried a hint of exhaustion and anger. She looked at me, her expression complex. "Lucas, what exactly do you want?" "What do I want?" I looked at her, feeling a sharp pain in my heart. "Claire, I should be asking you that. What do you want? Do you really want to divorce and be with this childhood sweetheart who's eager to break up your family less than a day after meeting you?" I specifically emphasized the words childhood sweetheart. Claire's face paled. She wasn't stupid. My unusual behavior today, combined with Gavin and Bella's eagerness, she saw it all. It was just that her filter for Gavin was too thick. She couldn't accept the cruel reality immediately. "My business with Gavin doesn't concern you," she deflected, her tone stiff. "I am your husband. How can your business not concern me?" I stood up, walked to her side, bent down, and looked directly into her eyes. "Claire, look at me. Tell me, in these 3 years, aside from being untalented and unworthy of you, have I ever treated you poorly in the slightest?" Her pupils contracted, and she instinctively tried to dodge my gaze. You can't say it," I answered for her. "I prepare breakfast for you every day, even though you've never eaten it once. I remember all your preferences and dislikes. You have a weak stomach, so I spent 3 years learning to make medicinal soups. You get cold easily, so I carpeted every corner of the house. You don't see any of this. You only see this man." I pointed at the iron-faced Gavin. "He hasn't done anything. He just came back, and you want to throw me away? Claire, is your heart made of stone?" My voice carried the grievance and unwillingness of my past life. Claire's body trembled almost imperceptibly. Her eyes reddened. I knew my words had struck the softest part of her heart. She wasn't heartless. She was just deceived. Stop talking. She stood up abruptly, grabbing her purse. I don't feel well. I'm going back. With that, she fled the private suite. Claire. Gavin wanted to chase her, but I blocked his path. Mr. York, I stood before him, the sadness on my face instantly vanishing, replaced by cold mockery. The show is over. You can drop the act. Gavin's face instantly turned incredibly dark. Lucas, don't get cocky. He lowered his voice, his eyes vicious. Do you think you can keep her like this? You're too naive. You and I are not from the same world. Is that so? I smiled. Then let's wait and see. Let's see who gets kicked out of the game in the end. I ignored him and Bella, turning to leave the suite. I knew that after tonight, a seed of doubt had been planted in Claire's heart. And what I had to do was make that seed sprout and grow quickly. The next day, I woke up very early. Like every day for the past 3 years, I prepared breakfast for Claire. Millet pumpkin porridge with a few refreshing side dishes. All her favorite flavors. In my past life, she never ate the breakfast I made. She always rushed out the door, sparing me not even a glance. But today, when I brought breakfast to the table, I saw Claire in her loungewear, sitting there. This was the first time in 3 years she was willing to eat breakfast with me. My heart stirred, but I pretended nothing was amiss as I set the bowl and chopsticks before her. Try it. It's fresh off the stove. Claire didn't speak. She picked up the spoon and took a small sip of the porridge. Her movements were elegant and distant. She seemed to want to say something, but didn't know how to start. About last night, I'm sorry. I broke the silence proactively. I shouldn't have embarrassed you in public. Claire's hand, holding the spoon, paused. She looked up at me, her eyes holding a trace of inquiry and confusion. Lucas, you've changed, she said. People change. I looked at her seriously. Before, I was too cowardly. I always felt I didn't deserve you, so I lived without a self. But Claire, I don't want to live like that anymore. I want you to see that your husband is not a waste of space. My words seemed to touch her. She was silent for a long time, so long I thought she wouldn't speak again. Accompany me to a cocktail gala this afternoon, she suddenly said. I was stunned. In 3 years of marriage, she had never taken me to any public event. In everyone's eyes, Claire Sterling, CEO of Sterling Corp., was unmarried. Okay. I suppressed the excitement in my heart and nodded. I knew this was an opportunity she was giving me. A chance to prove to everyone my identity as Mr. Sterling's husband, and also a chance to test me. That afternoon, I put on the suit old man Sterling gave me and appeared at the Pierre Hotel's banquet hall with Claire. As soon as we appeared, we became the focus of the entire room. Everyone's eyes were fixed on me. Surprise, curiosity, disdain, scorn. All kinds of gazes enveloped me like searchlights. Who is that? He's actually holding Ms. Sterling's hand. No idea, never seen him. He dresses well, but who knows which family's toy boy he is. Isn't Ms. Sterling a couple with Gavin York? Why is... The whispers weren't loud, but just loud enough for us to hear. Claire's body was stiff. I could feel her palms sweating. I turned my hand and gripped hers, encasing her cold fingers in my palm. Don't be afraid. I'm here, I whispered to her. Her body trembled, and she looked at me in disbelief. I smiled at her, a smile carrying a reassuring strength. Just then, an ill-timed voice rang out. Claire, you're here. Gavin walked toward us holding 2 glasses of champagne, smiling. He was wearing a white suit today, standing next to Claire. They indeed looked like a match. He naturally handed one of the glasses to Claire, completely ignoring me. I was just looking for you. His eyes were tender, his tone intimate, as if I were the unwelcome third wheel. The surrounding guests all wore expressions, expecting a show. Claire awkwardly took the glass, wanting to put a little distance between us. But I held her hand tight, not letting her pull away. I looked at Gavin, wearing a polite smile. Mr. York, what a coincidence. Gavin finally turned his gaze to me, a hint of contempt in his eyes. Mr. Vance is here too. His tone was flat. However, Mr. Vance doesn't seem to attend these kinds of events often, right? Getting used to it. His words were full of insinuation, implying I wasn't presentable, implying I was a country bumpkin. In my past life, facing this humiliation, I would have only blushed and been unable to say a word. But now I just found it laughable. Indeed, I don't attend often. I nodded, admitting it openly. I used to think these occasions of pretense and fake smiles were pointless. But now I've changed my mind, because I realize there are always some blind fools trying to covet my wife's position. As her husband, I have to come out and declare sovereignty, don't I? As soon as my words fell, the entire banquet hall instantly went quiet. Everyone's eyes focused on Gavin and me. The smell of gunpowder was imminent. Gavin's face instantly sank. He probably didn't expect I'd dare to declare war on him directly in front of so many people. Mr. Vance, you really know how to joke. He twitched the corner of his mouth, his smile stiff. Claire and I are just friends. Friends? I raised an eyebrow, my voice not loud, but clear enough for those around to hear. Would a friend say, you don't deserve her to a friend's husband? Would a friend eagerly announce to the world he's coming back before the couple is even divorced? Gavin, stop hiding your little intentions. Isn't it exhausting? My words were like sharp knives, peeling away Gavin's refined outer coat to reveal the ugly interior beneath. His face alternated between green and white. It was quite a sight. The surrounding guests began to whisper. So that's how it is. This Gavin York looks respectable, but turns out he's a homewrecker. I said it before. How could Ms. Sterling be interested in that kind of person? This Mr. Vance has some spine. Oh! The wind of public opinion shifted instantly. Gavin obviously heard these comments, and his fists clenched tight. Lucas, don't go too far. I'm going too far. I laughed. Compared to what you've done, what is this? I took a step forward, leaning close to his ear, speaking in a voice only the two of us could hear. Don't rush. This is just the beginning. What you owe Claire, I will make you pay back bit by bit. My voice was light, but it carried a bone-chilling coldness. Gavin's body stiffened violently. He looked at me in disbelief, his eyes filled with shock and confusion. He probably couldn't figure out why a loser he never took seriously had suddenly become so terrifying. I ignored him and pulled the still-stunned Claire to the center of the banquet hall. Everyone, I picked up a microphone, attracting everyone's attention. I know everyone is very curious about me. Let me introduce myself. I am Lucas Vance, Claire Sterling's legal husband. I specifically emphasized the words legal husband. We've been married for 3 years, and our relationship has always been great. I'm just a low-key person who doesn't like the spotlight, which caused some misunderstandings. Today, I take this opportunity to clarify things. I paused, my eyes sweeping over the pale-faced Gavin and Bella hiding in the crowd. And to warn certain people, my wife is not someone just anyone can covet. Whoever dares to touch a hair on her head, I, Lucas Vance, will put my life on the line to make them regret it. My words landed with a thud. The entire hall was silent. Everyone was stunned by my forceful declaration. Claire stared at me blankly, her beautiful eyes shimmering with a light I couldn't read. After a long time, she found her voice. Lucas, I'm here. I looked at her, offering a comforting smile. She opened her mouth as if to speak, but eventually, it just turned into an almost inaudible sigh. She pulled her hand free, turned, and walked quickly out of the banquet hall. I didn't chase her. I knew she needed time to digest everything that happened today. My dominance might change. It was too much of a shock for her. But I didn't care. This was the effect I wanted. I wanted her to know I was no longer the puppet she could manipulate. I wanted her to re-know me, to re-examine our relationship. After the gala, I didn't go home immediately. I drove to the base of the Sterling Corp building. I didn't go up, just sat quietly in the car, watching the lit office on the top floor. I knew she was there, alone, licking the wounds of her chaotic thoughts. In my past life, she was like this too. Whenever she had troubles, she would lock herself in her office all night. I wanted to go up and keep her company countless times, but in the end, I retreated due to inferiority and cowardice. In this life, I wouldn't. I took out my phone and sent her a text. Don't overwork yourself. Come home early. I made soup for you. After sending the message, I started the car and left. I knew she didn't want to see me right now. All I could do was give her quiet space and a warm place to return to. Not far down the road, my phone rang. It was Grandfather Sterling. Kid, not bad. As soon as the call connected, the old man's hearty laughter came through. You were quite imposing at the gala today. I smiled. Grandpa, you know everything? Nonsense, you made such a big scene. How could I not know? The old man harumphed, but his tone held a trace of approval. I thought you were going to be a turtle hiding in its shell forever, finally showing some manhood. I was immature before. It's not too late to grow up now. The old man shifted tone. However, that kid Gavin isn't a simple lamp to keep lit. He has people behind him. You offended him this time. He won't let it go. I know. My eyes sharpened. I'm just waiting for him to make a move. In my past life, Gavin used a carefully planned corporate ambush to plunge Sterling Corp into a massive crisis. Then, he appeared as the savior, winning the trust of Claire and the entire Sterling family, cannibalizing the company step by step. This time, I would absolutely not let him succeed. What is your plan? The old man asked. Grandpa, do you trust me? Silence on the other end. I trust you, the old man said deeply. You are the husband I personally chose for Claire. I trust my judgment. Good. I took a deep breath. Then, please do nothing next. Manage nothing. Leave everything to me. You kid. The old man seemed hesitant. Grandpa, please trust me. This time, I won't let you or Claire down again. My tone was incredibly firm. The old man was silent for a long time again, finally letting out a long sigh. All right, I trust you. If you need anything, just ask. Thank you, Grandpa. Hanging up, I watched the streetscape receding rapidly outside the window, my gaze deepening. Gavin, your first move should be coming, right? I'm waiting. I guessed right. Early the next morning, something happened at Sterling Corp. The company's most important overseas partnership was suddenly and unilaterally terminated by the other party. This project, facilitated single-handedly by Claire, was tied to Sterling Corp's strategic layout for the next 5 years. Failure would not only cause direct losses in the billions, but would shake the company's very foundation in the industry. As soon as the news broke, Sterling Corp's stock price plummeted. Panic spread through the entire company. When I rushed to the office, a crowd of anxious executives surrounded Claire's door. Ms. Sterling, what do we do now? Yes, Ms. Sterling, Mr. Henderson isn't answering his phone. What is going on? Everything was fine yesterday. How did it suddenly? Claire's face was pale, drained of all color. She hadn't slept all night, her eyes red-rimmed, yet she forced herself to maintain a final shred of composure. Quiet, all of you, she scolded, her voice hoarse. PR department, issue a statement immediately to stabilize the stock price. Project team, establish an emergency group right now to reassess losses and find alternative solutions. She assigned tasks methodically, but anyone could see she was on the verge of collapse. Just then, the office door was pushed open. Gavin walked in wearing a tailored suit, his face wearing an expression of just the right amount of worry and concern. Claire, I heard something happened. He walked to her side, speaking softly. Don't worry, I'm here. My father and Mr. Henderson are old friends. I'll call him right now and ask what's going on for you. His appearance was like a life raft. The executives' faces all showed hope. Great, with Mr. York stepping in, it'll surely be fine. Yeah, the York family's influence overseas is much stronger than ours. Claire also seemed to find a pillar of support, her tense body relaxing slightly. Gavin, thank you. Silly. No need to be polite with me. Gavin patted her head affectionately, then took out his phone and dialed a number in front of everyone. He put on speaker. The call connected quickly, and an elderly voice with a heavy accent came through. Hello, is that Gavin? Uncle Henderson, it's me. Gavin's tone became respectful. Sorry to disturb you. I wanted to ask about your cooperation with Sterling Corp. Oh, that. Mr. Henderson sounded somewhat awkward. Gavin, it's not that I'm not giving you face. It's just, we have a better option. A better option? Yes. A company called Horizon Capital offered us much more favorable terms. Moreover, their technology is more advanced than Sterling's. Mr. Henderson said, business is always about maximizing profit. I hope you understand. Horizon Capital? Gavin frowned. He hadn't heard this name. The others in the office were equally bewildered. Where did this Horizon Capital pop up from? Yes, Horizon Capital. Mr. Henderson's tone carried a hint of admiration. Their director is very visionary and bold. I believe partnering with them is the correct choice. With that, Mr. Henderson hung up, citing a meeting. Dead silence filled the office. Everyone's hopes were dashed. Claire swayed, almost losing her footing. Gavin quickly supported her, his face written with self-blame and heartache. I am sorry, Claire. I couldn't help. I don't blame you. Claire shook her head, her voice full of despair. It's all that Horizon Capital's fault, an executive said angrily. This is clearly a deliberate interception. Too despicable. What use is saying that now? The urgent task is to find this Horizon Capital and see if there's any room for negotiation. Right. Check it immediately. While everyone was in chaos, a calm voice rang out. No need to check. I walked in slowly from outside the crowd. I registered Horizon Capital. My words were like a heavy bomb detonating in the office. Everyone looked at me as if I were a lunatic. Lucas? What? What are you saying? Claire looked at me in disbelief, her voice trembling. I said, Horizon Capital is my company. I walked up to her and repeated it calmly. Impossible. Gavin was the first to jump out and object. Absolutely impossible. Where'd you get the money to register a company? And take the project from Mr. Henderson. Yeah, Lucas, stop joking. Bella joined in, hiding behind Gavin like a dog borrowing a tiger's ferocity. I ignored them and just looked at Claire. Do you trust me? Claire's lips quivered, unable to speak. Reason told her this was absurd. How could a live-in husband she had supported for 3 years turn into a capital tycoon who snatched a billion-dollar project from Sterling Corp overnight? Yet, my gaze was so frank, so certain. It made her involuntarily waver. Do you have proof? She asked with difficulty. I smiled and pulled a document and a voice recorder from my pocket. This is the contract I signed with Mr. Henderson, featuring my signature. This is the recording of my call with Mr. Henderson. He said he chose to work with me not because my terms were generous, but because I informed him in advance that Sterling's project had a massive technical loophole. Once operational, the whole system would crash within 3 months. My words caused everyone to suck in a breath of cold air again. Technical loophole? How is that possible? Claire had led the team through countless all-nighters to create this. Every link had been repeatedly tested and verified. You're lying, a project manager retorted excitedly. Our plan is perfect. There cannot be loopholes. Is that so? I pressed the play button on the recorder. Out came my conversation with Mr. Henderson. Using fluent English, I pinpointed 3 deeply hidden yet fatal technical flaws in the project plan, and I provided the perfect solutions. As the recording played, the project manager's face turned whiter and whiter. In the end, he collapsed onto the floor with a thud. How could it be? How could it be like this? Dead silence in the office. Everyone looked at me like I was a monster. They couldn't understand how I, an outsider, knew loopholes that even top technical teams hadn't discovered. Claire was stunned too. She looked at me, her eyes filled with shock and something she hadn't even realized herself. Admiration. Only Gavin's face, after the shock, rapidly turned into a grim shadow. He stared at me, eyes like poisoned knives. He knew he had lost completely. His carefully planned drama, to play the hero and win the beauty's heart, had been effortlessly turned into my solo show. Not only did I prevent him from being the savior, but I also turned him into an utter joke. Now, do you believe me? I turned off the recorder and asked Claire softly. Claire didn't answer. She just looked at me, her eyes slowly reddening. I knew she wasn't emotional about regaining the project. She was shaken by my transformation. All right, crisis averted. I clapped my hands, breaking the silence. The cooperation between Sterling Corp and Horizon Capital will proceed. However, the model needs to change. I walked to the desk, picked up a pen, and wrote a few words on a blank sheet of paper. Starting today, I lead this project. Sterling Corp will serve as the technical support party, Party B. Profits split 70-30. I get 7, you get 3. What? That's too much. Lucas, you're looting a burning house. The executives exploded again. Why? It was clearly Sterling's project. Why should he, an outsider, take 70% of the profit? Not satisfied, I raised an eyebrow. We don't have to cooperate. You can solve those 3 technical loopholes yourselves. But I warn you, if you use my solutions without my authorization, I will sue you until you're bankrupt. My words were like a bucket of ice water, extinguishing everyone's anger. They finally realized that the initiative was completely in my hands. They had no qualification to bargain. Everyone's eyes turned to Claire, waiting for her decision. Claire took a deep breath, looking at me with an incredibly complex expression. After a long while, she spoke slowly. I agree. Claire's agreement shut everyone up. Gavin's face was hideous. Watching the atmosphere between Claire and me that no one could intrude upon, the jealousy and malice in his eyes almost materialized. Claire, you can't agree to this. He rushed in front of her, agitated. He's undermining Sterling Corp. You can't invite a wolf into the house. Wolf? I laughed. Mr. York, are you mistaken? From beginning to end, the only wolf wanting to swallow the fat meat of Sterling Corp is you, isn't it? What do you mean? Gavin's pupils shrank. You know what I mean? I walked up to him, lowering my voice. Did you think bribing the project team to tamper with the plan was seamless? Gavin's pupils contracted violently. How did you know? He lost his voice, asking. If you don't want people to know, don't do it. I patted his shoulder, my smile cold. Gavin, I advise you to get out of Sterling Corp right now. Otherwise, when I hand the evidence to the police, you won't be able to leave even if you want to. Gavin's body trembled violently. He looked at me as if seeing a ghost. He couldn't figure out how I knew, given how secretively he acted. And you, my gaze shifted to Bella, white hiding behind Gavin. Bella shivered all over under my gaze. Did you think no one knew you secretly copied Sterling's client data and sold it to Gavin? Bella's face went instantly sheet white. I didn't, she retorted shrilly, but her voice was hollow. Didn't, I held up another voice recorder. Do I need to play it for everyone right now? Bella's legs went soft, and she collapsed directly onto the floor. It was over. Everything was over. Everyone in the office looked at the pair with disdain and anger. They never imagined that the childhood sweetheart Claire viewed as the one who got away and the best friend she treated like a sister would join hands to calculate against her like this. Claire swayed, looking at Bella on the floor and the ashen-faced Gavin. Her eyes were filled with pain and disbelief. "Why?" she murmured. "Bella, I treated you well. Why would you do this to me?" Bella looked up at Claire, no remorse in her eyes, only mad jealousy. "Why? Claire Sterling, you have the nerve to ask me why." She laughed hysterically. "Since we were kids, you were better than me at everything. Your family, your looks, even Gavin only liked you. In what way am I worse than you? Why do you have everything, while I can only live in your shadow like a sidekick? I'm not resigned to it. I wanted to snatch everything from you. Your company, your man, I want it all." Her insane rant left everyone dumbfounded. Claire took a step back, shocked by the words, the blood draining from her face. She probably never imagined a friend she trusted with her life for over a decade harbored such vicious thoughts. "Security!" I couldn't bother watching this farce anymore and shouted, "Throw these two out, then call the police. Corporate espionage, deliberate sabotage, enough to keep them busy for a while." Security rushed in, dragging the limp Gavin and Bella out. "Lucas Vance, you'll die a horrible death." Gavin struggled for a final moment, staring at me with venomous eyes. "Claire, you bitch. I won't let you go even as a ghost." Bella cursed madre. The office door closed heavily, cutting off their voices. The whole world went quiet. Claire stood there, motionless like a lifeless statue. I knew the blow today was too great for her. Betrayal by the two people she trusted most was pain enough to destroy a person's will. I walked to her, took off my suit jacket, and draped it over her cold shoulders. "It's over," I said softly. She didn't react, just stood there blankly. After a long time, 2 lines of clear tears slid from her empty eyes. She was crying. This was the first time I saw her cry. No sound, just tears smashing onto my heart one by one. I reached out and pulled her gently into my arms. Her body stiffened, instinctively wanting to struggle. "Don't move." I tightened my arms, whispering in her ear, "If you want to cry, cry it out. I'm here." My words were the final straw. She finally stopped pretending to be strong, buried her face in my chest, and wailed. The sound was full of grievance, pain, and despair. I held her like the most precious treasure in the world, stroking her back stroke by stroke. "Claire, don't be afraid. From now on, I am your armor. I will never let anyone hurt you again." Claire cried for a long time. In the end, she fell asleep directly in my arms. I picked her up horizontally and walked out of the office under the complex gazes of all the executives. I didn't take her back to the mansion. Instead, I took her to my own home, a small apartment I bought in Midtown with my secret savings. It wasn't big, but it was cozy. It was the first home I prepared for our real future. I placed her gently on the bed, took off her heels, and tucked her in. Looking at her peaceful, sleeping face, my heart softened. In my past life, I never imagined we could have a possibility like this. I sat by the bed, watching her quietly until the sky grew dark. Her eyelashes fluttered, and she slowly opened her eyes. Where am I?" Her voice was still somewhat hoarse. "My place." I handed her a glass of warm water. She propped herself up, took the glass, but didn't drink. She just stared at me blankly. "Lucas, thank you," she said. "We are husband and wife. No need for thanks." She fell silent. A long time later, she looked up at me, her eyes holding an unprecedented seriousness. "Who exactly are you?" she asked. I knew she wasn't asking about my identity. She was asking why I had changed, why I knew so many secrets even she didn't know. I couldn't answer this question. I couldn't exactly tell her I was reborn from a year in the future, could I? "I'm still me." I looked into her eyes, speaking sincerely. "It's just I don't want to lose you again." My words made her heart tremble violently. A flicker of panic crossed her eyes. "You? Claire," I interrupted her, holding her cold hand. "Before, I was wrong. I always felt I didn't deserve you, so I didn't dare get close, didn't dare be good to you. But now I've figured it out. Loving someone isn't hiding in a corner watching them silently. It's standing by their side, shielding them from the wind and rain. I may not be strong enough right now, but I will try to become a man you can rely on. So, can you give me another chance?" My words were like a stone cast into her calm heart lake, stirring ripple after ripple. She looked at me, eyes complex, moved, hesitant, confused. She opened her mouth as if to speak, but in the end said nothing. She pulled her hand back, threw off the covers, and got out of bed. I had to go back to the office. Her back was to me, her voice returning to its usual coolness. There are a lot of things waiting for me to handle. I'll drive you. No need. She refused. I can manage. With that, she left my apartment without looking back. I watched her determined figure and didn't chase her. I knew she wasn't ready. Having been deceived for over a decade, it was hard for her to trust anyone right now, including me. I needed to give her time and give myself time to prove everything. For the next few days, Claire and I returned to our state of icy mutual respect. She moved back into the office, working day and night to clean up the mess left by Gavin and Bella. Meanwhile, I officially joined the Sterling project team as the head of Horizon Capital. Using memories from my past life and a business vision that surpassed this era, I conducted drastic reforms on the entire project. At first, the team viewed me with suspicion and resistance. But after witnessing my almost miraculous operations and ability to turn decay into magic, everyone was convinced. The way they looked at me changed from disdain to awe. Some even started calling me God Vance in private. Claire saw all my efforts. Although she didn't say it, I knew her heart was inching toward me. She started caring if I ate on time. When I had meetings until late, she'd have her assistant bring me supper. When I had a cold, she silently placed a box of medicine on my desk. These tiny changes filled me with immense joy. I knew the iceberg between us was slowly melting. As for Gavin and Bella, they got what they deserved. Corporate espionage, sabotage. With multiple crimes, they were looking at least 10 years in prison. The York family's company stock plummeted due to the scandal, teetering on collapse. Everything was moving in a good direction. I thought Claire and I would just restart slowly like this. Until that day, Grandfather Sterling suddenly summoned me. The Sterling family estate. In the study, sandalwood smoke curled in the air. Old man Sterling sat in a grand armchair, fingering a string of prayer beads, his expression grave. Lucas, seat. Grandpa, I sat as told, feeling a bit apprehensive. The old man rarely spoke to me in such a serious tone. I heard about the York family matter, the old man spoke slowly. You did well. I did what I had to do. No. The old man shook his head, opening his eyes to look at me sharply. You did better than I imagined. Good enough to make me feel afraid. My heart skipped a beat. Grandpa, what do you mean? You don't need to play dumb with me. The old man put down the beads and leaned forward, a powerful pressure washing over me. Tell me, how exactly did you know Gavin's plan? And how did you discover the project loopholes in advance? These things. Never mind you. Even an old man like me who has rolled through the business world for a lifetime might not have been able to do it. How did a 20-something young man with zero business experience achieve this? The old man's questions pierced the heart. I fell silent. I knew my rebirth was the world's biggest secret. I couldn't tell anyone. What? Can't explain. Seeing my silence, the old man's tone became stricter. Or is it that there's someone behind you helping you? Are you like Gavin, also a pawn someone planted in the Sterling family? The old man's words were like a heavy hammer smashing into my heart. I looked up abruptly, shock and hurt in my eyes. Grandpa, you suspect me? It's not that I suspect you. The old man's voice carried a trace of fatigue. It's that your performance is too abnormal. That girl Claire is simple-minded and easily deceived. I can't let her be hurt again. I understood. The old man didn't distrust me. He was scared. Having been hurt by Gavin once, he dared not trust anyone easily. Bitter feelings rose in my heart. Grandpa, I took a deep breath, stood up, and bowed deeply to the old man. I cannot explain how I knew those things, but I can swear to heaven, I, Lucas Vance, have absolutely no second thoughts toward Claire or the Sterling family. If I do anything to hurt Claire or the Sterling family, may I be struck by lightning and die a horrible death. My oath was resonant. The study fell into a long silence. Finally, the old man let out a long sigh. Fine. He waved his hand, seemingly aging 10 years in an instant. Get up. I believe you. Not because of your oath, but because of the look in Claire's eyes. The way that girl looks at you has changed. The old man's words made my heart jump. Grandpa, go. The old man closed his eyes, picking up his beads again. Treat her well. Don't let me, or her,